urban fiction, urban romance, urban erotica. Oh my. We are talking all about urban books today with Aniya, also known as the Well-Read Pharmacist. We are going to be diving into the differences as well as some great recommendations for each of these subgenres today. Listener discretion is advised. This podcast contains mature content intended for adult audiences only. Hello, Aniya. I am so excited to have you on this show.
I'm excited to be here.
This is going to be so much fun. You are the Well-Read Pharmacist. And I told you when we first got on, I've been stalking you for quite some time now. And when I thought of this podcast and like how I wanted to format it, I was like, I have to have Aniya on this show. So I'm so excited that you said yes. So to get us started, if you could let me know a bit about your reading, your adult reading journey, how you got into it.
I've always been a reader, even as a child, but I kind of fell off when I got to college because I was a science major and I had to study all the time. And when I got to pharmacy school, reading was impossible. There was no way to read anything but about drugs in pharmacy school. So when I graduated and I got my first job, I was like, I can read now. I can read in peace. I don't have to study. I don't do anything. I can just read for fun. And I want to say about a year into being a pharmacist, I was like, maybe I should start something. And that's how the Well-Read Pharmacist was born. Just want to share my love of books with everyone and meet people who also love books.
Yeah. When was that around for you?
So I would say about 2020, 2021. So I've been on Instagram for half a decade. I'm getting up there.
I know. Feels like it.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's really interesting because, like, I think back to when 50 Shades of Grey first came out, and my mom was like, girl, you need to read this. And I was like, ew, mom. Like, I know what that's about. Ew. Read a book, why don't you?
I'm like, girl, you don't need to read stuff like that. Go get you some women's fiction and sit down somewhere.
But I was so judgy. And then I feel like around like 2019 to 2021 is when a lot of, especially millennials, were like, man, I need to read something. Let me get back to my love of reading that I had when I was little, because this whole reading for self-development is not it at all.
Oh, I need to read for fun and to get lost in the books. I want to be in a different world. I don't want to be present. I want to be gone somewhere fictional, probably with lots of action, hot action, little sex going on, all that stuff.
Yes. Give me all the smut, of course. I'm here for it. That's so good. So you did a post, and it was back in August of 2024, talking through this difference between urban fiction, urban romance, and contemporary romance. What was the reasoning behind you wanting to create this post?
Just full transparency. Like, I was just very annoyed with people calling all Black books urban. They're not all urban, and that's okay. Black people, we speak in a certain dialect. So if they're speaking in AAVE in the books, they could be a physician or a dentist. They're not kingpins. They're a physician or a dentist. And just because they're Black doesn't make them urban. So I try to see them on TikTok. I'm like, oh my God, I'm about to pull my hair out. This is not an urban romance. This is a contemporary romance. Like, these characters, 9 to 5, they go home. That's it. They're not in the streets or selling drugs. They're not doing any of that. They're just going home. And that's all.
I feel like you wouldn't see that so much on Bookstagram because I feel like we're a little more professional over here.
Yeah.
But Book Talk is a wild, wild west.
Definitely. That's why I saw the post that I was like, okay, you guys, like, no, let's go to the beginning and let's talk about these differences because y'all don't know that.
So why don't you tell us, what are those differences between the urban versus contemporary?
So urban romance is like, basically, he's a kingpin. He's a dope boy. He sells drugs. He's a stick up kid. He does all these things, and he's in the streets day and night. That's his role. But he is the most loving and caring and protective male main character ever. Like, he loves his woman. That is his main goal in life, is to love on his woman. But he will unalive people if necessary. And that's what I love about urban romance. Contemporary is just like what I just said. It's like they have regular jobs, they're regular people, but they just speak in AAVE. And that's just it. Just a regular love story between Black people, between two Black main characters. And that's all it is.
Yeah, I think that's such an important distinction because just because the characters are Black or talk in a certain vernacular does not mean that it all of a sudden gets lumped into a
Yeah, it's not
collection
a book.
box.
Yeah, no, it's not an urban book. It's not. It's a contemporary book. And that's okay. We have different genres for a reason. I just want people to be aware of that because I guess it's like generalizing all Black people, very stereotypical. Like, you assume because people talk a certain way, they're uneducated and stuff like that. And it's a difference between these books. And I think that if we learned about the books that we read, learn what they're about, their themes, their genres, book talk and bookstagram might be a better place. We just have to go back to the drawing board and learn. Like, you're never too old to learn more about stuff. And I'm constantly learning every day. So
For sure. So, what are some, you mentioned like in your post, the fiction versus the romance for the uninitiated who are like,
okay.
wait, urban has a fiction, but
Yes,
urban has a
it does.
romance? What do you mean?
It does have a fiction. So it's just like women's fiction. Not just like it, but like an example. So urban fiction is gritty, it's street, it's drug dealers, it's gangbangers, stuff like that, and there is no romance. These are not fairy tale stories. And they tend to have very heavy topics in them. So I always tell people, like, just be aware before you dive in because things that are written on page can be very upsetting. But yeah, there's no love. There are no sparks flying in these books. It's just street. It's just gritty. That's all it is.
Yeah. And then romance has to have that happily ever after romance. The relationship between the main characters, however many there may be, is the main point of the storyline. And it would make sense that the fiction would be different than the romance. And can you give us some examples of if we're like, wait a minute, I'm interested in this urban fiction where we're maybe not in the mood for romance, but we want that gritty. What are some examples you might have of ones that you've read and enjoyed?
I always tell everybody to start with The Coldest Winter Ever. Like, that is your foot in the door to urban fiction. And it's a heavy read, but if you want to see what urban fiction is, that's the book to start with, definitely. Anything by Carl Weber, Nikki Clark, Vicky Stringer, any of the older urban fiction authors who were hot like in the early 2000s, those. Even Ashley Antoinette and her husband Jaquavis, like the Cartel series, like all of those books, urban, Murder Mamas, anything like that will get your foot into the door with urban fiction.
Awesome. And then when you're thinking urban romance, so I can't say I've read a lot of urban romance, maybe one or two novellas sprinkled in here or there, but I remember being at soccer practice with one of my kids. This was like maybe over a year ago now. And I was talking to another mom and she was like, "Yeah, girl, I love to read." And I was like, "What books are you reading?" She's like, "I read street romance." I was like, "Oh, I don't. I read the other stuff." So I don't have any recommendations just because I'm always open to, here, let me give you recommendations for books. But then it got me realizing that I wasn't reading any at all. And I was like, let me go check out the top Black romances in Amazon because I know that there's going to be some, as she said, street romance in there.
Honestly, from like an indie perspective, I would start with T. Lynn. All of her books, the majority of them are street romance to the core. So Definitely her, Siobhan Latrice, any of her books, they are hilarious, as well as street romance. K.L. Hall has quite a few. My favorite by K.L. Hall is To the Only Thug I've Ever Loved. That book is amazing. 10 out of 10. My Little Love by Sherry Lewis. When a Gangster Calls by Lexi. There are so many to choose from. Like, I could go on and on, but I won't do that today.
No, I love that because, like, you're able to just be like off the top of your head, here you go,
Yeah.
here you go, here you go. And then when I think contemporary Black romance, that is probably one of my most read subgenres last year. And when we say Black romance, let us clarify that both of the main characters are Black
Yes, both of them. Not one,
because it's not a
but
Black romance if they're not both Black.
exactly.
That is something that gets thrown around. We're like, oh yeah, it's a Black romance. And it's like, one, was the author ambiguous about what the person looked like? Were they using like
Yeah.
language that you're like, maybe not?
Like, are they Black or are they not Black? Because I really can't tell. Just for you guys, if a white man is on the cover with a Black lady, it's not a Black romance. That's it. It's not. A person of color with a Black person is not a Black romance. If both of the characters are Black, it's a what? It's a Black romance.
Yes.
That's another issue that we seem to be having, but hopefully people will learn soon.
I hope so. But it is learning, right? Like, I was just
Yeah.
talking to a friend recently, and she had listened to one of our episodes where I talked about tropes, and I was talking about how we don't use the word reverse trope anymore because it's sexist, and instead just say it's an age gap and she's older. Like, you don't have to say a reverse age gap or a reverse grumpy sunshine, because then it's what about sexualities and why can't she be grumpy? Man, I'm grumpy. Like, you know what I mean?
And if I don't have coffee, do not talk to me the entire day. Just do not speak to me.
I had coworkers. I used to work in manufacturing, and I'd get in at 6:30 and I'd have to drive an hour in, and I wouldn't have my coffee until I got to work. And so I'd get to work, I'd pour my coffee, I'd sit at my desk, and the guys would come around the corner and they'd peek and see, oh, no, she's working on her coffee. Okay. And they'd walk away.
They just have to give you some time, like, oh, let's let her enjoy her first cup of the day, and then we can ask her anything.
Yes. And then sometimes if I was having a really bad day and it was clear because everybody was getting the business, I would find a Snickers on my desk. Like,
Did it work? Did it help?
it
Like,
did. It did help. I was like, thanks, guys. Appreciate it. But yes, I could be grumpy too. It's fine. But like, she's been in the online space and the bookstagram space and reading for a long time, but just never really realized that this is something that we had shifted in the way that we talk about these things. And so that's why I want to have these conversations, is because I feel like so often a lot of these conversations happen between bookish people in the DMs or in the comments, and then your everyday reader is like, oops, I didn't mean it. I didn't know I did it wrong.
Yeah.
So trying to help them out, but that's why we're here. So Black contemporary romance, we're talking a lot of Kennedy Ryan, not all, right?
No.
Which is an important, not all,
At all.
but a lot of it. All
Yeah.
Alexandria House.
Alexandria House, Alex Warren, Christina C. Jones, even some that y'all may not know. I have Marley Ray. I have Bailey West. I have Ty Love. There are so many. Again, I could go on and on.
There's so many good authors, and I think that, one, it's important to read diversely, right? And to
Yes.
read, if you are Black and that's your culture, read your people. And then if you're not,
Yes.
read those people as well.
Yeah, that's all.
It's so stinking important. And I find that so often people tend to go toward the more interracial But I think that there's so much beauty in finding those Black romances. And I was talking about this with Drea about her books, Drea Anderson. We were talking about her before we pressed record. That one thing I love about her books is that her men always have their shit together before they get to their woman. And I was like, well, why'd you do that? And she told me. And I was like, I also think that it's good because it shows that Black men can have their shit together, right? So we can see this reflected in such a really powerful way that the girl can be a bit messy and it doesn't have to be the guy trying to get his shit together, and that there are great Black men in the world because there are.
Yes. I think Black romance tends to show that side of Black people. Like, we are all worthy of love. We are all worthy of kindness, love, respect, princess treatment, whatever. We all deserve it. And I'm happy that these books can showcase that, because some people think that Black people don't deserve all this, but we do. We deserve our fairy tales like everybody else.
Yeah, and that's the power of reading fiction and romance, especially because obviously we love romance here, but reading things that are not based in quote unquote real life, because you can get into the mind of the person's lived experience.
Yes.
And especially if it's written by a person who's sharing their own culture, their own story, it's an own voices book, then you're going to get even a deeper level of this. And that's why a lot of the times when I'm looking and I'm seeing, oh, there's a character on that cover that is Black. Cool. Let me go check out this author's backlog.
Uh-huh.
Always. Because I'm like, is this the
Same.
first Black person they wrote? Or do they tend to write
Yeah,
Black?
that is. I tend to stay away from those.
I got other
Look
things to
right
read.
before. Yeah, I'm gonna go read the people who've been writing Black.
Yes. I think that it's so important. But yes, you gave some great recommendations for those contemporary ones. I love that. There's also erotica, right? Which you mentioned in your
Uh-huh.
post. And I was trying to explain erotica to my husband. Mr. We Read Smut. He's a celebrity here on the show as well as on my Instagram. People love him because he's
He's a
nasty.
funny guy. He's a funny guy. Yes, I saw those text messages, sir. I
Yeah.
saw those messages.
And I tell him beforehand, hey, I'm sharing these, or is that okay? And he's like, yeah, I don't care. Everybody can know my business. But I was trying to explain to him the difference between romance and erotica. So for our listeners, could you give us the lowdown?
Sure. So erotica, plain and simple, it's just sex. It's sex out the gate. There is no plot. The plot is sex. On the second page, they're probably having sex. There is no build up. There's no dating. These people are going to hunch immediately. That's erotica in a nutshell.
Yes. I like to think of it, and this is the way I explained it to him, is in romance, you can take the sex out and still have a great love
Yes,
story.
absolutely.
Whereas if you take the sex out of erotica, you have no story.
You have nothing. It's literally like, oh, hey, hi. And then the book is over. Like, no.
Which sounds boring to me.
Definitely sounds boring. It's like, what the hell is this?
Yes. We've got some erotica as well. Are there any urban eroticas? So keeping that kind of words together, urban meaning they are drug dealers, they've got that thug life going on, and
Yeah.
then erotica. What are some good recommendations for that combo?
So I would definitely recommend Nicole Jackson's urban eroticas. Definitely. And they're messy.
Oh,
You're going to get hunching and mess.
okay.
Let me give you two of my favorite by her. It's called Take It Down. It's a two-part series. And also, we Have You Ever Made Love to a Thug by Misha Mish. He just gets out of jail. They're into BDSM. It's a good time.
I do love BDSM to
It's a
read
good
it.
it's a good time.
So we got some recommendations there as well. If someone is hesitant to dabble in because they're like, oh, I've maybe only read contemporary and I thought I was reading urban, honey, you weren't. But they're interested in starting to dabble in what is like one author that you're like, this is a good starter author.
I would say maybe try with Talina Tillman first.
Okay.
Anything by her. Try with Talina Tillman. But if you want the mess, just keep reading. Just start with her and just go forth. It'll unlock a whole new world of authors for you.
Oh, I love it. I'm curious now, is there any, I know we have the genre, the subgenre, urban fantasy, which does not have to do with the streets at all,
Right.
which is something, another phrasing that we use, which has to do with a fantasy setting that is in our modern times. So think something like Percy Jackson, where it's mystical and it's fantastical, but it's set in a modern society of what we know. And of course, there's tons of erotic books and romance books that I could recommend based on that. But are there any that you know of that are the urban we're talking about, but
Uh-huh.
dabble into other subgenres like paranormal or fantasy?
I'm glad you asked that. There are quite a few paranormal books. I have a post for that too. I would say Natavia is a really good author to start with. I love Natavia. You can do Blood Bully, vampires. Roar is shapeshifters. Jade Royal, anything in her catalog, shapeshifters. Nikki Clark, alien lovers. Again, shapeshifters, whatever you want. Christina C. Jones also has a vampire book.
Nice.
Katrina Jackson has one, but it's like the main character is making love to her husband's ghost.
Ooh.
So there are plenty of books written by Black authors that you may or you may not know. Like they dabble in everything. Like we're not a monolith. You will find everything you're looking for in a Black author, honestly.
It's so true. And I honestly, having Black authors being the most that I've read in the last year, because I track all that stuff, because I like to be super aware of what I'm reading and where I'm
Uh,
spending my money and my time, that I have not missed reading a lot of the other authors that I did read back in, say, 2020, 2021, even
yeah.
2022. I do not miss those authors at all. And I see them come out with new books, and I'm like,
Like
no,
maybe later.
maybe never. It's fine. Like some of them. And I think that's one thing that I have where I am not someone who can reread a book. So I see my friends do that.
I
And
cannot. Friends do it too. I can't. I have to read. I just have to keep going. I can't go backwards. I have to go forward.
yes, and there's authors that I wanna reread, right? I
That's
kinda wanna reread Elizabeth Stevens and Alexandria House and just reread all their books, but I'm like, "Okay, maybe I listen to the audiobook instead of reading the book because I
Mhm.
read it the first time around, now I can listen to the audiobook." I don't know, we'll see what I do, but I also
Yeah.
have, like, tons of books on my TBR that I wanna get
Your
through.
PBR is never ending. It's never done.
Yes. I actually deleted my TBR at the beginning of this year, and it was quite a relief, honestly.
That's honestly a good idea. I'm a mood reader, so I just go where the wind goes. One day I could be in the mood for like romance, the next I'm like, oh, let's read about serial killers. You never know with me. You just never know.
I love that. Yeah, I'm a mood reader, but mostly for romance, and so I am reading 3 books right now.
Oh.
One is one I'm reading on my phone.
Hmm.
That is Bedlam by Jack Whitney. That's a white author, but it's a sapphic romance.
Okay.
And it is a stalker who's also her bodyguard with a rock star drummer. And it's very messy with addiction and because it's rock and roll, a lot of stalking. There's a little bit of suspense in the background. Like there's another
Oh,
person
well,
who's doing stuff who you're like, what's going on? but it's 700 pages. So I'm reading that on my
Oh,
phone.
goddamn, girl.
I know. And I don't like to read big books, but Jack writes such good books. So I have to read this book. So that one I'm reading on my phone. I'm at the end of Darling Nikki by Kenya Gori Bell. And that one is a Brazilian and white male main character and a black female main character. And he is a villain. He is terrible. And she's just trying to exist in his world. And it is so good and messy. And then I'm listening to You Made a Fool of Death with Your Beauty by Akwake Emezi. I'm butchering the name terribly, and I apologize if you're listening. But that one is a very popular book, and so I borrowed that from the library. Very different, like, genres, right? Like,
Yeah.
so that's my thing, is that, like, I can't be reading two of the same types of books.
Oh, no, absolutely not.
Yeah, because then I start, wait, well, where were we and who's doing
Uh-huh.
what?
Okay, so, like, I'm reading an urban thriller right now. It's like urban erotic thriller almost. I'm actually reading a book by a white author, Morning Man, the Playboy. It's really good. And what else am I reading? I think I'm gonna start a historical fiction book tomorrow. Not really sure. We'll see. We'll see.
Who's it by? What are you thinking?
So I actually have an arc for Dolan Perkins Valdez, her upcoming novel, Happy Land. I love her, so I'm excited to dive into that. So I will probably start that this week sometime. But the erotic thriller I'm reading is called The Hunt. The male main character he's a serial killer, okay? Spoiler alert. Serial killer who unalives women during sex after the orgasm. It's very dark.
Yeah.
Very dark. Read the trigger warnings.
Yep.
But when I first started, I was like, what the hell is this? What have I got into?
I'm curious now. So you mentioned reading thrillers. You mentioned reading just a lot of variety. What is your favorite genre or subgenre across that?
Oh my goodness. That's such a hard question. Jesus. I
What's
don't know.
your comfort? How about that? So
So
as a
like
mood reader, what's your comfort?
I would definitely say maybe urban romance because like anytime I'm like, I don't know what to read, I'm like, oh, take me to the streets with somebody who's gonna unalive another person on behalf of his wife. That's me.
Yep.
Yes, let's just see some of that on page.
I love it. Yeah. Oh, that's so good. This has been awesome, Aniya. Thank you
Yes.
so much for being on and educating us on these
No
differences.
problem.
I appreciate it. And I know people are going to get some great recommendations from this episode, but also some more information that they probably didn't know before around these differences. So if someone's like, yes, I need more recommendations like this, where can they find you, get to know you, and hang out with you on social media?
You can find me on Instagram at the Well Read Pharmacist. And I'm also on Threads, the same name. I like to talk, so I'm always on Threads. If you want to talk to me, just send me a little thread or you could DM me. I don't care. I'll be there.
Yes, I love checking out the things that you're sharing on Threads because you always have an opinion on it. And I'm like, I
Yes.
agree.
Unfortunately, I cannot shut up. So y'all will continue to get these opinions. I try to be quiet, but I'm like, you know what? No,
Somebody's got to say it.
I'll say it. I'll be the one. I don't care.
Love it. Thank you so much. I appreciate you.
No problem.